Branded not the favorite, since the day my sister was born, I tried to celebrate my 21st with a small dinner. No one came, except Grandma, who hugged me and handed over a $41,000 check and a note. This is just for you. The next morning, it was gone. Mom said, your sister needed help with her first apartment. We thought it was family money. I just smiled and left a folder on the table, each page addressed to a different name. And it changed everything. My 21st birthday was supposed to be simple. Not a big party. No fireworks. Just dinner at a quiet Italian place with 3 tables, some pasta, and maybe a candle or 2 if they remembered. I texted the family group chat a week before. Just dinner, 7 p.m., my treat. No one replied. I sent a reminder the day before. Still nothing. But I still went. Sat at the table for 6. Ordered a Coke. Watched the door. One by one, people didn't come. No text. No excuse. No, something came up. Just absence. And it wasn't a surprise. Not really. I'd been wearing that invisible badge since I was 9, not the favorite. The title was unofficial, but well understood. My sister was the hurricane. They called her fierce, dynamic, a born leader. I was the afterthought. The one who remembered birthdays, filled the car with gas, brought the charger everyone needed but no one noticed. I was about to ask for the check when she came in. Grandma, in a beige coat, leaning on her cane, holding a small envelope in one hand and something bulkier in the other. I know I'm late, she said, sitting down with a sigh. But at least I showed up. We didn't talk much. She asked about school. I lied and said it was fine. She gave me a tired hug, handed me the envelope, and left before dessert. Inside was a handwritten note. This is just for you. Not for rent. Not for groceries. Not for anyone else. And folded behind it, a check for $41,000. $41,000. My hands were shaking. I reread the note 3 times. It didn't say why. It didn't need to. For once, someone had seen me. Really seen me. I didn't sleep that night. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, planning. Maybe I'd finally get my own place. Maybe I'd start the thing I'd been afraid to start. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. But by morning, the envelope was gone. I checked the counter, the trash, even my jacket pockets. Then my mom came in, holding her coffee like a casual grenade. Your sister needed help with her first apartment, she said, without looking up from her phone. We thought it was family money. No apology. No conversation. Just a redistribution of my future. I didn't argue. I just smiled and walked upstairs. Grabbed the folder I'd prepared a year ago and never used. Inside were 12 letters. Each page addressed to a different name. Each one clear, final, and long overdue. Then I walked back down and left the folder on the kitchen table. And that's where everything started to change. They didn't open the folder that morning. I know because I watched my dad walk past it 3 times like it might bite him. My mom left her coffee mug right on top of it, as if ignoring it could make it vanish. My sister came downstairs, saw the envelope with her name on the front page, rolled her eyes, and said, "Dramatic much?" I didn't answer. I was already packing my bag. I moved out that same day. Rented a 1-bedroom on the edge of town with peeling paint and the kind of plumbing that groans at night like it's haunted. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Paid with what little I had left in savings. The check? Gone. And not just the money, the meaning of it. The message. This is just for you. But it wasn't. Nothing ever was. They all had their story about me. Mom's version. I was too sensitive, took everything personally. Dad's version. I was selfish, couldn't see the big picture. My sister's version. I was jealous. Of what? I never figured out, maybe the applause she got for breathing. But here's the truth. For 5 years, I paid. Quietly. I covered my sister's tuition when she forgot to apply for aid. I paid the deposit on her car when she decided she needed independence. I co-signed her lease because, according to Mom, we take care of each other in this family. But each other always meant me taking care of them. When Dad's hours got cut, guess who picked up the mortgage for a few months? When Mom's medical bill came in and she didn't want Dad to know, guess who Venmo'd her in silence? Me. And every time I did, they found a way to remind me I was still somehow disappointing them. Why don't you come to church more? You should call your grandparents. You've gained weight. You still single? You work too much. You don't smile anymore. They never said thank you. Not once. Instead, they said things like, it's what family does. But it wasn't what family did. It was what I did. They just received. They expected. They consumed. My sister lived rent-free for 2 years while calling me emotionally immature in group chats she forgot I was in. Mom once told me, we all have our roles. Yours is stability, like I was some living, breathing utility. And when I finally stopped, when the money stopped flowing, the illusion shattered fast. Mom called the day rent was due. No hello. Just, did you forget to send it? I said, no. I remembered not to. She called me cruel. Dad left a voicemail that was basically a sermon about loyalty. You're punishing your own blood over some check? And my sister? She texted, you're ruining everything. Do you know how this makes me look? Like that was the concern. I ignored them for a week. I needed to see what would happen when the well dried up. The answer? Chaos. Within 10 days, they turned on each other. Mom blamed Dad for not stepping up. Dad blamed Mom for raising a daughter who couldn't budget. My sister blamed both of them and started posting vague quotes online like, sometimes family is just a social construct. I laughed harder than I should have. Then they found the folder. Each letter was surgical. Clean. I wrote them months ago when I first realized I was suffocating. They weren't angry, just factual. I listed the totals, how much I'd paid, for whom, and when. I wrote what I was no longer doing. And most importantly, why. I'm done financing disrespect. 12 versions of that line, each tailored for the recipient. My cousin got hers and texted, this is cold. I replied, not as cold as being laughed at while I paid your parking tickets. She blocked me. The rest didn't reply. Silence, at last. But silence has weight. It presses on your chest. It tells you what words never will. And after 2 weeks, that silence broke, not with an apology, but a threat. If you don't help us, my mom said, your sister might end up homeless. And all I could say was, that's between her and her choices. That's when they knew. I wasn't coming back. Saying no felt like falling off a cliff. But the ground never came. The messages kept coming, first from my sister, then from Mom, then from numbers I didn't recognize. Fake calm tones, fake concern. Then guilt. Then rage. You've changed. You're not the Mason I grew up with. Grandma would be disappointed in you. She wouldn't. She saw this coming. That's why she gave me that money and that note. She knew they'd take it. Knew they'd say family money, like I wasn't part of that definition. 3 weeks after I cut them off, the calls changed tone. My dad, normally too proud to ask for anything, left a voicemail like he was reading from a hostage script. Son, we just need a little help. We're in a bind. Just until things level out. Then, right at the end, he broke character. This is still your family. You owe something. There it was. Oh. The word hit harder than I expected. Not love, not miss, not care. Just owe. Like all those years I was paying their bills and taking their insults was some invisible loan I was now defaulting on. I called him back. Not to explain. Not to justify. Just to say this. No one owes respect to people who mock them and take their wallet on the way out. Click. He didn't call again. The next bomb dropped 2 days later. A text from my sister. The landlord's filed eviction. We have 7 days. I let it sit unread. 12 hours later, another. We're crashing at Mom and Dad's. It's humiliating. Ethan's pissed. Thanks for nothing. So there it was. The great fall from grace. My sister, the family princess, back in her teenage bedroom with glitter stickers on the wall and a boyfriend who couldn't stand the sound of my mom's blender in the morning. Ethan didn't last. My cousin told me he packed up and left 2 days in. Said the house gave him a migraine. He called it a museum of passive aggression. He wasn't wrong. I imagined him dragging his duffel bag past the family photos. The one from my sister's graduation, front and center. My college photos? Never even framed. Not once. Meanwhile, my mom was melting down. She sent me a voice message that sounded like a mix between prayer and threat. We were counting on you. You said you'd help us get through this season. This season. Like I was a harvest they'd planted and were mad the crops didn't come in. So I replied, season's over. The soil's dry. I thought that would end it. But they always had one last card, pity. My mom invited me over for dinner. Said she made my favorite. Just come. We'll talk. No pressure. I said yes. I wanted to see how far the cracks had spread. When I walked in, the house felt wrong. Dimmer. Quieter. Not because it was peaceful, but because it was waiting. Like a set before the actors arrive. My dad sat with a stack of bills beside his plate. My mom tried to smile, but it came out brittle. My sister didn't show up. Headache, they said. Sure. They made small talk. Work. Weather. That new show on Netflix. I gave short answers. I was waiting. Finally, my mom leaned in. We're struggling. There it was. The confession wrapped in manipulation. Not, we're sorry. Not, we messed up. Just, we're struggling. And then she asked the real question. If you could help, just this once. I cut her off. Calmly. Clearly. You mocked me for being quiet, for being boring, for not being enough. While I was paying your rent, her car, this mortgage. And the minute I stopped, suddenly I'm cruel? No. I'm just tired. My dad tried to say something. I stopped him. You don't get to beg from someone you won't even look in the eye unless there's a transfer coming. The silence was deep. Hollow. I finished my water, stood up, and said, 1 month from now, I'll host something. One last thing. And I'll tell you what happens next. Whether I help again or never speak to you at all. That's the deal. My mom didn't answer. My dad just nodded, like he knew the deal wasn't in his favor. I left before dessert. Stopped at a drive-thru on the way home, burger in hand, sitting in silence. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt since I was a kid. Not rage. Not revenge. Control. For the first time, I wasn't the safety net. I was the storm. I didn't tell them what the picnic was. Just sent a message in the old family group chat. Same one they ignored on my birthday. Picnic. Saturday. 1 p.m. The old park. Just us. No emojis. No explanations. I knew they'd come. Not because they cared, but because they were curious. Because they were hungry, not for food, but for control. They thought it was an ambush or a soft apology. Maybe they believed I'd show up with checks like last time, pretend nothing happened, and return to my role. The quiet donor. The walking wallet. The family joke who paid for the punchline. They were wrong. I arrived early. Set up a folding table, 5 water bottles, and 1 paper bag with sandwiches. No decorations. No chairs except one. Mine. They came dressed like it was Easter brunch. My sister in a cream dress with heels she couldn't afford. My mom with her hair done and her best fake pearls. My dad wore cologne so strong I smelled him before I saw him. They smiled. Too wide. I didn't. We sat. Awkward, circular silence. I let it stew. Then I dropped the folder on the table. 3 envelopes. My sister grabbed hers first, eyes already narrowing. What's this? A bill. An offer. She opened it. Read one line. Laughed. You're kidding me. A job? A part-time assistant at some clinic? That's your big reveal. No, I said. That's your chance. She shoved the paper away like it was toxic. You're not serious. I am. My mom opened hers slower. Read every word like she expected a catch. A soup kitchen, she said, voice tight. You want me to chop carrots with people who talk to themselves? No, I replied. I want you to do something useful. Instead of waiting for me to pay your bills and then tell everyone how ungrateful I am. My dad didn't open his. Just stared at the envelope like it might explode. What is this, Mason, he said. Some twisted power trip? No. This is the first time you've all been offered real help instead of money. And you're angry because it means you have to show up. My sister stood. You're sick. You're trying to humiliate us. No, I said, standing too. You did that yourselves. I'm just the first person who stopped pretending you didn't. And that's when it happened. The twist no one saw coming. My grandmother walked out from behind the old gazebo. She'd been there the whole time. Quiet. Watching. Same beige coat. Same cane. Same eyes that saw through everything. She walked toward us like the ghost of better judgment. And then she spoke. Mason told me everything, she said. About the money. About the check. My mom flinched. You had no right, Grandma said coldly. That money was mine. It wasn't family money. It was a gift. To him. My mom tried to speak. Grandma raised her hand. Silence. I'm the reason we're even having this picnic, she continued. Because I told Mason, if he was going to draw the line, you better carve it in stone. She turned to my sister. You stole from him. Then laughed behind his back. To my dad. You watched it happen. Then blamed him for being angry. To my mom. You raised a daughter who thinks money comes with entitlement and a son you thought would never fight back. And then to me. She handed me another envelope. Read it. I opened it with shaky fingers. Inside, a deed. To a small cabin out in the woods. Paid in full. I sold my house last month, she said. Moved into assisted living. No more garden. No more repairs. And I knew, they'd try to take from you again. She looked at the rest of them. This is the last gift I'm ever giving anyone. And I'm giving it to the only person in this family who knows what it means to earn something. No one spoke. My dad looked like he'd swallowed sand. My mom's mouth opened, then closed again. My sister just stared at the grass, stunned into a silence she hadn't known since middle school. I put the envelope in my backpack, and then I said the last thing I needed to say. You mocked me. I paid your rent, your mortgage, your mistakes. That's over. From now on, if you want help, start with yourselves. And leave me out of it. I grabbed the sandwiches and left them with their envelopes, their fake pearls, their too loud perfume, and their stunned silence. I walked away, not angry, just finished. And this time, there was nothing they could say to stop me. The first week after the picnic was silent. No texts, no calls, no guilt trap emojis. Just silence, a new kind, not cold but uncertain. The kind that meant something had shifted and they didn't know how to handle it. I waited. For days later, I got a call from the clinic where I'd referred my sister. I picked up, expecting it to be a mistake. Hi, just wanted to say thank you, the woman on the line said. Madison interviewed Monday and started this morning. I blinked. She showed up, signed the contract, and started prepping charts before I even gave her the Wi-Fi password. I didn't reply to my sister, but 3 days later, she texted me herself. Started work. It's fine. Don't get used to me thanking you. But I'm not quitting. So there. Just like that. No emojis. No manipulation. No defense. Only something sharp and new. Accountability. I reread the message 3 times before locking my phone and going for a walk. I didn't need to say anything. She wasn't looking for applause. Just acknowledgement that she'd stepped into a new version of herself. Next came my dad. His message was short. That warehouse job still there? I sent him the number. He answered with a single word. Thanks. No guilt. No bargaining. Just, thanks. 3 days later, my cousin sent me a photo of my dad in work boots and a neon vest. Your dad's working. Like actually working. He says his back hurts, and he hasn't felt this useful in years. I laughed, but it wasn't a mean laugh. It was relief. Then came the surprise I didn't see coming, my mother. She didn't call. She didn't text. She showed up in a photo from my friend, who volunteers at a nonprofit kitchen. It was my mom, wearing an apron, sorting canned goods beside volunteers half her age. I stared at the image for a long time. No makeup, no jewelry, just her. She hadn't told anyone. She'd just gone. Quietly. Decided, apparently, that showing up in service was better than sitting in resentment. I hadn't spoken to her in weeks. But that photo said more than any call ever could. And then came the letter. Mailed. Real paper. Real handwriting. I recognized it instantly. Grandma. Mason. That money I gave you wasn't a gift. It was protection. I knew they'd try to take it. I knew they'd twist it. That's why I kept the real trust hidden. What they took wasn't the real check. I had the original canceled. The trust is intact. Still in your name. They stole a shadow. You still own the light. Enclosed is everything. I trust you'll do what I couldn't. Choose yourself. Love, always a G. Inside, a fresh trust document. $41,000. Unclaimed. Unspent. Mine. They hadn't won. They hadn't taken it. It had never been theirs. I opened a private savings account the next day. And that same afternoon, I booked a one-way flight. Tokyo. I didn't tell anyone. I packed light. Left my apartment key with a friend. No more waiting. I wasn't running. I was releasing. Because they were finally walking on their own, and I, for the first time, was ready to do the same. Towards something new. Not family. Not obligation. Just freedom. I sent the message on a Wednesday. Same group chat. Same awkward name Fam Bam. I hadn't opened it in months. Just one line. Hosting another picnic. Same park. Saturday at 3. Come if you want. No smiley face. No hint of hope. I didn't expect anyone to show. But they did. And they came differently this time. My sister showed up in scrubs. No makeup, hair tied back, posture tired, but grounded. My mom wore sneakers and a windbreaker, no pearls, no passive-aggressive pie. My dad parked quietly and walked over in work boots, not sunglasses. He looked 10 years older. And, for the first time in a long time, 10 pounds lighter. We sat around the same cheap table under the same crooked tree. But the vibe was different. Tense, yes, but stripped of illusion. No one brought food. So I handed out sandwiches again. Same kind, wrapped in foil. Same water bottles. They didn't complain this time. We ate in silence for 10 minutes. Then I stood up, pulled the same old folder from my backpack, and placed it on the table. Their eyes twitched. My sister flinched. But this time, it wasn't job offers. It was something else. I opened it and pulled out a sheet. "I'm not here to scold you," I said, "or rescue you, or relive anything." I handed them each a page. No names on these. Just statements, rules, boundaries. No more emergency transfers. No more, "It's just this once." No more pretending I'm not drowning while you sip wine. No more guilt games. No more rewriting history. My mom looked like she might speak. I raised my hand. "I'm not here to debate." She shut her mouth. My dad nodded slowly. My sister stared at the paper, lips tight, but said nothing. Then I said the rest. "I'm doing well, really well, but I'm not your backup plan, not your fallback, not your financial shield from the real world." I paused. "You've all proven you can work. You can show up. So keep going. But don't expect applause. And don't expect help unless it's earned." They were still silent. So I added one more thing. "I'm leaving. Tomorrow. One-way ticket. No return date yet." My mom's eyes flicked. My sister looked up fast. My dad raised an eyebrow. "I'm not running," I clarified. "I'm expanding." Silence again. But this time, it wasn't resistance. It was absorption. Acceptance. After a moment, my dad finally spoke. "Where?" "Japan." He nodded. "Nice." My sister muttered, "You always did want to go." And my mom, quiet, fragile mom, just said, "Good." No tears. No pleas. Just understanding. That was the shift. The apology didn't come with flowers or speeches. It came in small things. My sister showing up in her work uniform. My dad listening instead of talking. My mom letting silence speak. And when the sandwiches were gone, we stood. No one hugged. But my sister touched my arm and whispered, this time, "I'm proud of you." I didn't reply. Didn't need to. They walked to their cars. No drama. No explosions. Just the sound of gravel under change. I sat for a while after they left. Alone, but not lonely. I watched the wind pull at the corners of the old job listings still stuffed in the folder. And for the first time, they weren't a warning. They were proof that people can change, that silence can heal, that sometimes the loudest revolution is walking away and not checking if anyone follows. 2 weeks later, I was walking through a Tokyo alleyway at night. Paper lanterns swaying, the sound of rain on stone. No texts, no calls, just peace. Then my phone buzzed. A photo from my dad, a grill he'd bought. Caption, "Paid for it with my own paycheck." A few minutes later, an email from my mom. A flyer. Local food drive. No request for money. Just a simple line. "If you know anyone who wants to help." And that same night, my sister posted a selfie. In scrubs. In a clinic bathroom. No caption. Just a mirror. For once, it reflected all of us. Not perfect. Not fixed. But finally, real. And me? I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because for the first time ever, they weren't looking for a hero. Just themselves. And that was the only ending I ever needed.